The last meeting. Jamie, Dakota. The final moment we never spoke about. The day I knew, the last meeting was inevitable. I, Jamie, received Dakota's text message on a gray afternoon, as the sun sank beneath the foreboding Los Angeles sky. We need to talk, one last time, if you're okay with it. I read it 3 times. Finally, that word made my heart clench. Maybe because after all the unsaid, after the years of silence, after the fragile resumption of conversation at the 2024 party, we both knew we couldn't keep things hanging. I'd always thought I'd be the one avoiding it. But when I read that text, I knew I couldn't hide anymore. I couldn't help it. I shouldn't. And I didn't want to. Dakota, she chose to end up where no one expected. We met in a place only she would have chosen. A small coffee shop tucked away in the quiet streets of Silver Lake, where the old yellow lights and the intermittent jazz music made everything seem more like a movie than real life. When I walked in, Dakota was sitting at a table in the corner, her hair loose, her eyes looking out the window as if she were thinking too many things at once. She turned around, smiling, a smile not of joy, but of keeping things together. "Thank you for coming." Her voice was as thin as a thread. I just said, "You have to come." The air between us was so heavy I could barely breathe. The first silence, as we only let our hearts speak. We sat across from each other. No one spoke. I heard the clink of spoons on glasses from another table, my own breathing, the distant jazz music. Dakota gave me a long look, the look I had been avoiding all these years. "Jamie, there are things I haven't said." I replied softly. "I know. And I have things I haven't said either." She lowered her gaze, her lips trembling slightly. "If you came today, I would tell you everything." I wanted to put my hand on hers. But I couldn't. Not now. Not here. Not for what was about to happen. Dakota starts, and every word is like a gentle cut. "Jamie, in all these years, I never wanted anything more than that between us." I nodded. I believed it. But there were times, I thought, if only we had met at a different time. My heart ached. I tried to keep my distance. I tried not to let people get the wrong idea. But the hardest part was trying to avoid my own feelings. She paused, took a deep breath. "There were moments when I wanted you to know how important you were to me. But I was afraid, if I told you, everything would fall apart." I looked at her, wanting to say, "I understand," but my throat tightened. "I don't want to break your life. I don't want to break mine." Dakota looked at me, her eyes wet but not tearful. "The only thing I want is for you to know that I cherish what we had more than anyone else." I felt the whole cafe fall silent at her words. My turn, and I finally tell the truth I never dared to say. I spoke slowly, word by word. "Dakota, if I could have said this sooner, I would have." She looked up, waiting. "You are the one who made me feel understood, seen, myself, in a way that few others have." Dakota trembled slightly, as if my words touched old wounds. "There are days, your presence is what keeps me grounded in a crazy world." She closed her eyes, and the first tear fell. I continued. "I stayed silent because I was afraid. I was afraid of hurting you. Afraid of making you expect. Afraid of making you want something you shouldn't have." I paused. There were so many things I wanted to say, but I didn't have the courage. "And I miss you more than you think." Dakota opened her eyes and looked at me. The look was like the old days, real, close, dangerous. "Jamie," she whispered. "Me too." The truth they both were afraid to speak, finally admitted. "Jamie, we never loved each other." But we never didn't love each other either. That sentence felt like a soft knife cutting into my heart. She continued. I think our feelings have always been on the line. Not crossing. Not retreating. I nodded. It was a truth neither of us had ever admitted. And maybe that's why it's lasted this long. I clenched my fists under the table to calm myself. Why just one last time? Dakota said reason. Dakota sighed very softly, as if the next sentence would tear her in two. Jamie, I'm leaving Los Angeles for a long time. Maybe a very long time. I suddenly felt choked. I took a project in Europe. And I need a life that's not based on the past. Not based on half-hearted connections. Not based on things that never had a name. I understand. It hurts. But I understand. You deserve your own peace. And so do I. The last moment, when I hold her hand for the first time in many years. Dakota stood up. I followed. We walked outside. It was dark, the soft yellow streetlights illuminating her face. Nothing. Just a long look at each other. Then, for the first time in many years, I reached out my hand. Dakota put her hand in mine. Gently. No shaking. No fear. Just real. Only the two of us knew this was a handshake that should have come a long time ago, but came at the last moment. Dakota whispered. If there is a next life, I will meet you first. My heart broke. I wanted to say, I will find you. But the words did not come. I just squeezed her hand tighter. Once. Then let go. Dakota looked at me, her eyes shining in the light. Goodbye, Jamie. Not, see you. Not, someday. But a real goodbye. She turned away. Step by step. Step by step into the dark street. I stood still. Not chasing. Not calling names. Not breaking that last moment. A tear fell down my cheek. When all that was left, a beautiful, painful emptiness. I went back to the car. Sit in the seat. And just looked at my hand, where her hand had been. I knew that from today on, we no longer had anything hanging between us. Because we had finally said everything. No holding back. No regrets. Just acceptance. The connection doesn't disappear. It's just stored away, beautiful, intact, and where it deserves to be. A chapter that none of us will ever rewrite. But also never erase. Conclusion: the most beautiful nameless feeling is the feeling that we dare to let go. I looked at the road Dakota had walked away from. And said to myself, thank you for walking into my life, in a way only you can. It wasn't love. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't something society could name. It was something unique. A connection so beautiful that it could only exist in memory, not in real life. And sometimes, those are the strongest relationships.